Check, check. Mr. Mayor, we are ready at your convenience.
Good evening and welcome to the Riverside City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I'll call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Denning?
Here.
Ms. Fry?
Here.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Ms. Lomatch?
Yes.
Mr. Maxfield?
Present.
Mayor Williams?
Here.
Move to excuse.
So second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from Ms. Lomatch to excuse Mr. Brown from tonight's meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Mr. Brown's excused. Mr. Manager, any additions or corrections to the already very full agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from Mr. Maxfield. Couldn't think of your name for a second there. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Agenda's approved. If you're able, please join us to rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Well, we have a number of guests here this evening. We're very happy to be joined by so many folks, and we have a few very important things we have to cover, the first of which is a swearing in of an officer for our police force, and then I believe it will be followed by a presentation from our chief. So, Chief Robinson, are we going to begin with the swearing in?
Yes, but I have something to read. But sometimes I have my officers, show up,
You want to get on your mic?
Sorry, I don't have one, they stole it.
Oh, well, we got to find out who stole that.
Call the police.
Is there a policeman in the house? Anyway, what I would like to start out, and I won't go there though, whatever.
I was just going to say, you can even pull that one out if you want. Walk around with it.
It's like we've
Do a
done this
song and
before.
dance. There you go.
Where's the go?
Can you hear me now? Is it on?
Should be on.
Yes.
The green light.
Hang on. Try now.
Testing, 1, 2,
There
3.
you go.
All right.
Yeah.
I know how a mixer works.
There you go. Good job. So I was told that maybe the last time I didn't read something for the incoming officer. And first I would like to say I apologize to the fact that Officer Schroeder, she's actually been working here long enough, she's out of FTO before she came before council. It's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, but we thought maybe we had some other folks that might be coming on board in between there, but they did not work out, so here we are with Officer Schroeder by herself. So anyway, this is what she wrote. I normally rewrite it and make it way more funny, but maybe you guys might not want to hear that today. Anyway, this is what she says. From a young, hang on a second, I'm getting old.
Betty?
That's my assistant, Chief Miller. Thank you.
Is that what he does?
And then some, trust me, he'll tell you. From a young age, I've always dreamed of becoming a law enforcement officer, a passion ignited by my father's legacy as a retired officer from the Beaver Creek Police Department and the countless episodes of cops I watched growing up. Who didn't? This childhood dream led to me to Sinclair Community College, where I earned an associate's degree in criminal justice, laying a solid foundation for my career. I began a professional journey as a dispatcher with Montgomery County Regional Dispatch before transitioning to the Lebanon Police Department. While there, I earned my EMS certification. Stop right there. No, you can't have her. From Clark State. Pivotal step that further broadened my expertise in public safety. Most recently, I proudly graduated from the Greene County Career Center Police Academy in 2023, marking a significant milestone in my pursuit of becoming a dedicated officer. With the support of my family along the way, I'm now honored to be a police officer in the city of Riverside. And we are honored to have her as well. Mayor, you're on, sir.
All right. So, Officer Schroeder, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Maggie Dean Schroeder,
I, Maggie Dean Schroeder,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
and will obey the laws
and will obey the laws
thereof,
thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of
the provisions of
the Charter and ordinances
the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Riverside, Ohio,
of the City of Riverside, Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Thank you, Matt.
Mayor? Have her come around here. Oh, how cute. Yeah, we need pictures over here of Officer Schroeder and your family. Anyone else you like in the picture? Is your dad here?
You want to wear the Crocs?
You wanna wear your Crocs? Go a little bit more center to like
Yeah,
the
get-
middle of the dais.
Congratulations. Is it your picture? Is it your picture with the?
We're gonna go back and forth. I gotta turn it, the next part over. We're just gonna get a lot of this. And I believe that the Chief Robinson has a few more
Well-
things to go over about a few of his officers, so I will turn the microphone back over to him.
I almost got demoted just then. You guys heard it.
No, never, no.
First, I'd like to say that those Crocs over there are Officer Schroeder's. Sometimes she wears them to work when she should be wearing boots.
Crocs are comfortable, though.
Her husband made me say that, so it's all about him today, not her, apparently. So what I'm going to give a award out for a humanitarian award. And that award is to all police personnel for their spirit of cooperation, I can't speak today, I'm sorry, problem-solving, ability, community involvement, commitment to their profession, and for over and above the call of duty professionalism. This award is going to Sergeant David Krigler. If he could come up here, I'd appreciate that. It's good to see you, Dave.
Amen.
Sergeant David Krigler has been working with the North Dayton Anglers Club Women's Auxiliary Group for over 20 years, focusing on securing food donations for Thanksgiving and Christmas meals. His efforts have ensured that many families in the community enjoy a traditional meal during the holiday season. This has always been a way that he has helped support this community, assuring people in need or having a hard time can have a little relief from worrying how they're going to pay for it and focusing on just being with family. We know Dave is going through a little bit of a rough time right now, and we are, all of our hearts go out to him in our prayers.
Yeah. With able assistant.
So if I could get Officer Moffett and Vendetti. So earlier in 2024, I'm sorry, June of 2024, we took a shooting at 3031 Old Troy Pike. These two were the first to arrive on scene, and the victim was laying in the driveway. They were able to make a plan to safely execute getting that gentleman pulled to safety, in which they are getting the merit award today. Oops. I'll give you your certificate in a second. So they are part of a unit that also is going to get the unit accommodation award, but I wanted to give them their merit awards first. If I could get Detective Ritchie, Detective Todd, Sergeant Seyfried, Officer Anderson. Is Officer Newton here? No? Okay. So after they got him pulled to safety, Sergeant Seyfried got him thrown into a cruiser and met an ambulance. He had critical injuries to him. They were able to coordinate this with the ambulance and get him to the hospital as quickly as possible. They were able to set up a perimeter quickly. They were able to relay this information to on other agencies for assistance. After they got the perimeter, Detective Todd and Detective Ritchie were able to get a search warrant. And after several hours, we were able to execute it and did locate the suspect. So with all that they did, they are getting the unit accommodation award. Aaron. Sarge. Vendetti. You're welcome. Adam Todd. I have your pens. I'll give them to you in just a second. Okay. If you guys want to stand over there, we're going to put them. Okay, great.
And I think we have one more from the police officers for this evening. Robinson?
Could I get Detective Todd to come back up? He doesn't know that he's getting this award. He has that puzzled look on his face. No, that's normal. Detective. Brought the hardware for you, buddy. That's very nice. So Detective Todd, He's going to correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I gathered. He is in law enforcement for the last 17 years. 19, see, I told you to correct me. I think the last 8 years have been with the city of Riverside. Yep. I got that right. Thank you. Got that going for me. He's been a police officer here as well as a detective for the department. During that time, Detective Todd has been part of many high-profile cases. He'll tell you all about them. Don't ask him. Detective Todd will tell you that it's a team effort, and he plays his part the best that he can. He does it every day, I promise you that. In 2024, Detective Todd is being recognized by his peers for his outstanding work on 2 separate homicides, one that occurred in 2023 and one that was classified as a cold case. In the 2023 homicide, there was 3 suspects involved. Detective Todd located one of the 3 suspects, but was told that the suspect would not be charged at that time. Through his dedication and hard work, Detective Todd was able to track down the other 2 homicide suspects in 2024. Charges have been filed and approved, and all 3 suspects are currently awaiting trial. When we talk about cold cases for us, it's like something that never gets taken care of. It's always weighing on our minds, and it's something that we've had. This happened many years ago. I'm not going to discuss the case here in open forum, but obviously I was here, and it was very tragic. And for us, Detective Todd, really to take on this task to try to solve this cold case was something I really wanted him to do. When a case goes cold like that, it's extremely difficult to revive it. Many factors are against you. You got evidence is misplaced or gone, or it never was even brought to fruition. You're looking for witnesses and suspects the whole time. Detective Todd took his case to heart, and he worked every aspect of this as he could. And through his investigation, he was able to locate all the suspects that were involved, and there were many, and present a case. And regardless of what the outcome is in Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office, Detective Todd solved this case. And we're very proud of him for that. Sorry, I got emotional about that. It is my pleasure to thank you for your dedication and service. And here is your 2024 Officer of the Year, Detective Adam Todd.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something?
Yes.
I don't know how many of you, I want to thank all of you for everything you do every day. Trust me, I've watched you working for a long time, and I'm very proud of everything you do. And I don't know who was watching today. I'm going to get emotional too, Chief, to see our newest officer, Schroeder, on Facebook showing this off. And I am so proud of the police department for taking on support of Ian Strauss. Evan has been working really hard to get a second heart, and he got one last Tuesday night. And to see the police department step up to support that young man there can't be words to say what that family appreciates. I had his mother as a preschool student when I was a preschool director, and I've watched this family grow. And I want to thank you all, and I have had the privilege of getting a bracelet, and Officer Schroeder and I are going to work with Tuscany and see if we can't find out how we can get more of them. But I would appreciate your prayers. He's doing great. He looks like a real trooper if you've seen pictures of him on Facebook. But I want to thank you all for taking that and putting it on the Riverside, what do we call that? The signboard.
Oh, yeah.
What that means to that family to know the community is behind them. There are no words, and thank you.
All right, and I believe that at this time, Chief Miller has a few folks that he'd like to introduce.
You'll want to pull that up a little higher, Chief, just so you know.
Let's put that in the minutes. Can we have that in the minutes?
It was not a dig.
You stand tall when you come to work on time.
Fire chief, fire hydrant.
I heard that.
So today's a good day for the city. We've got 3 swearing-ins we're going to do next. 2 of them are full-time rehires. They've worked here in the past, left for various reasons, and we were able to court them back. The other one is the first full-time fire inspector for the city of Riverside. That's huge for us with our staffing, our call volume. You understand the struggles we have. Normally, we're just a reactive force. We respond to calls. We do the best we can with building inspections, investigations, but we simply don't have enough time in a day. So having a dedicated 40-hour employee who's going to do prevention, education, that's actually going to allow us to get out in front of a lot of these incidents, a lot of the fires. We responded to 46 first due fires last year. Out of the 118 we responded to for the year, and that's going to take up a lot of his time doing the investigations. Juvenile fire centers, we just had an arson fire over the weekend from a 10-year-old. So that's going to be a big asset to the city. So we'll start with Jeff Brogan. He started his career at the city of Dayton, did 14 years with the city of Dayton. He's been full-time with Riverside for 5 years. Jeff has been around a long time. Very good, very calm, steady hand. And his attention to detail is something that really attracted me to him and putting him in this position as our 40-hour fire inspector. Jeff is also a resident of the city of Riverside, so he's available, as much as possible after hours when the majority of our critical runs are coming in. So. Next, firefighter Alry. If his name sounds familiar, he's done 9 years full-time with the city of Riverside. Left us to become a lieutenant at Butler. And we were able to, after 6 years of the guys in the back of the room coercing him to come back, we were very fortunate to land a caliber of individual such as Mr. Alry. Mr. McCool. He's always smiling. That's a good thing. Again, Travis worked previous for the city of Riverside full-time, left us to go to Beaver Creek Township, spent the last 5-6 years with Beaver Creek, and again, we were able to court him back. The importance of this is these 2 are not, while on paper they were lateral hires, this gives us the in-station maturity and experience that we need. We're a very young fire department. We've had these conversations in the past. This gives us 2 senior firefighters just because of the culture and the family we're trying to build here. And none of that would be possible without the support of council and especially the city manager. So with that, we can do the swearing in.
All right. We need Mr. Brogan as well.
Nice try.
I'm going to give you guys cheat sheets. That always works for me. So you guys want to read them or you going to just listen to me carefully? I'm going to read it. All right. Travis. Jeff, there we go.
Yes. But the fire inspector reads differently than the other two. So,
Jeff, hold on, because you're a different type. I apologize. So you two gentlemen, save the best for first. All right, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tyler Allard,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of the Charter
the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of
and ordinances of
the City of Riverside, Ohio,
the City of Riverside, Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of firefighter paramedic,
of firefighter paramedic,
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. What you got there?
Although my left hand's giving up.
All right, Mr. Brogan. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Brogan,
I, Jeff Brogan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of the Charter
the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of
and ordinances of
the City of Riverside, Ohio,
the City of Riverside, Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Fire Inspector,
of Fire Inspector,
upon which I'm about to enter.
of which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. So you keep that one, I'll keep this one.
because she's got her camera out.
I don't think this will show, but they're all standing up there.
Don't. We're not. So at this time, we have one more portion of this section of our meeting. So the chief is going to say a few words about the individual we have a proclamation for, and then I'll be happy to read the proclamation. So Chief, if you can come up to the podium and say a few words.
It's easier to talk when they're at your back. This obviously is a man in the city of Riverside and the Riverside Fire Department, especially in the regional Dayton Metro, that doesn't need an introduction. Eddie just retired on January 16th, 41 years at the city of Riverside. Certainly the longest tenured employee, and he probably will hold that title for a very, very long time. We get one of these young kids to stick it out, but I don't know. So we've already felt the vacuum with Eddie leaving. It's one of those things when people leave, you don't necessarily know everything they knew and everything they did. And here in a short, couple weeks, we're learning where the voids are and how to plug them quickly. So with that, we've done some formalized ceremonies, both in the firehouse as well as with the community. And tonight's about being recognized by council, a proclamation in Eddie's honor and his commitment to the city of Riverside, the residents, businesses, and visitors of this great city. So.
All right, Mr. Cronenberger, on a career of exemplary service to our community. Whereas it is with great honor that the city of Riverside recognizes the service and retirement of firefighter-paramedic Eddie Cronenberger. And whereas Mr. Cronenberger's career serving the residents of Mad River Township and the city of Riverside began in 1984. Whereas Mr. Cronenberger served in each capacity of the fire department to include volunteer, part-time, and full-time. And whereas Mr. Cronenberger is a valued member of the Riverside Fire Department, he has always served the department and community in which he resides with the utmost pride and dedication. And whereas throughout the years of service, Mr. Cronenberger has demonstrated an exceptional loyalty, dedication, and commitment to the city and his profession, and he's always treated city staff, residents, and visitors with compassion, honor, duty, and trust. And the sincere and conscientious character of Mr. Cronenberger is a testament to his faith and his family. Whereas the city of Riverside wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Mr. Cronenberger for his outstanding 41 selfless years of service. Now, therefore, I, Peter J. Williams, Mayor of the City of Riverside, Ohio, and the City Council of Riverside, do hereby recognize Mr. Eddie Cronenberger on the occasion of his retirement from the Riverside Fire Department and for his dedication and ongoing commitment to service in our community on this 18th day of February, 2025. Eddie, congratulations. And the floor is yours.
I just want to thank the guys that I worked with, including the guys on the police department. We did a lot of stuff together and helped a lot of people. I'd also like to thank the citizens of Riverside, the councils that I've worked for, even the trustees back in the day. Thank them for all their support. I wish the department well, and I wish everybody else well. Thank you.
I think all the fire staff here are going to take some pictures along with Eddie's family, so why don't we get Eddie's family up here first?
Eddie, did you walk here?
Tell us a joke, Eddie. Doesn't have to be funny. Good job.
Congratulations.
Hey, now you get time to come back to the haunted house and help.
Thanks for all that, Chief. I appreciate it. Brenda, somebody in the lobby wanted to talk to you about a blood transfusion. They wanted to now watch your stuff. For you. I mean, I would do that. Should I say, like, if you want to go into the lobby?
Yeah, I think folks are clearing out, but they have
Congratulations, Dave.
Congrats.
See you.
He had to lose weight, but
Congratulations, sir.
congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, man.
That's my mother you're talking about.
I was right.
No. Look at my car. It's red.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, officer.
Again.
Yeah, well, and let me know, and I'll help distribute them. It's through the PTO, I think.
Congratulations.
Way to go. Congrats.
Chief, could you shut the door? Just in case it gets loud.
No, that door.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
All right, check.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you to the staff that helped us make all that happen this evening. We will move along on our agenda. If there are any citizens with us tonight that would like to speak on any agenda or non-agenda items, there are slips in the back of this room you can turn into the clerk at the front. Looks like we just had a slip turned in, maybe?
A slip of cake.
Kate?
No.
A slip of paper can be filled out if someone wants to speak in public comment. fulfilling their First Amendment rights, of course.
You'll notice he didn't bring me one.
It will be noted, I'm sure.
When he can't have sugar anyway, so
Well,
the chief should be eating.
I'm sure the minutes will reflect all of this accurately. We'll move along to our minutes from our February 3rd meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Lomach and a second from Mr. Joseph to approve the minutes from February 3rd as published. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We will move along to any public comment folks might have on agenda items. Madam Clerk, have any slips been turned in?
I have received none.
All right. So then we will go on to unfinished business, of which we have one ordinance, which will have its second reading, public hearing, potential adoption. This is ordinance 25-0-864. Mr. Manager, is there any a quick update on this?
No changes from last meeting. This is just the annual housekeeping ordinance related to general offenses and traffic code.
Move to approve.
Second.
The Riverside City Charter allows for a ordinance to be read by title only unless a council member requests otherwise. Madam Clerk, would you please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 250864, an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Riverside, Ohio, to provide amendments to the City Code, General Offenses Code, and Traffic Code, and approve current replacement pages to the codified ordinances of Riverside, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
I will now open the public hearing for ordinance 25-0-864 at 6:43 PM. If anyone wishes to speak on this ordinance, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
For us to designate the Shared Resource Center as our interim finance director. It basically allows the SRC to serve as our bank signatory. That'll be Resolution 3015. And Resolution 3016 allows the SRC to serve as our income tax administrator. Both of those require legislative action for them to fill those functions for our organization.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Let's do it separately,
Separately.
please.
Okay.
Move to approve 3015.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph to approve Resolution 3015 and a second from the Deputy Mayor. Is there any further discussion among members of council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And do we have a motion for 3016?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Joseph and a second from Mr. Maxfield. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 25-R-3016 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. We will move on to public comment for non-agenda items, and I will look to the clerk.
I have received none.
Okay, there's no public comment on a non-agenda item tonight. Thank you for double-checking for us. Then we will move over to the discussion items, and the city manager has listed a few for us to go over, so I'll turn the microphone over to him.
I'll actually turn it over to Chief Robinson, who's got some presentations for us related to voluntary gun storage. This was requested by council, as well as an update on a blue envelope program for the community. And I'll get the presentation here as well. Cool. Uh-oh, whoops. Now it's back. Is it back? It's back. Take it away, Chief.
Thank you, sir. So you can see, I put on here, basically this is Cincinnati PD, this are the rules that they have for this program. I haven't seen any other department that actually is doing this program. And when I called down and spoke with the lady in the property room, she was not overly joyed about the program. And in fact, they hadn't had, in the 3 months that the program is going on, they have not had one gun turned in. So the program so far hasn't really done anything there as well. And that's but they're not happy with the fact that it's the liability factor of it all. So if you would just go ahead and, I'm not going to read all those things to you. You can see that it's pretty self-explanatory. You bring it there 3 months. You can, then our property room clerk has to call them, and it's 6 months to go to 6 months, and then there's 7 days to bring it back, and then you got to go to court and get the judge to sign off on giving you the weapon, and then you just either destroy it or do something else with it. All becomes some liability at some point for just having that weapon in our building. Would you go ahead and show him the next slide so we show what size the room looks like? Okay, so that is what the property room storage facility looks like. So it's a 6-foot by 9-foot section in a fenced area, because if you look in the top, in the dead center, you see those are gun boxes. Currently, we have 117 handguns in there already. And in the boxes on the bottom left-hand side there are long gun boxes, and there's 29 of those in there as well.
And this is our evidence locker?
That's our evidence locker.
Okay, thank you.
So the locker, the evidence room itself, if you go to the left of that, is the room where we keep all the other evidence. And this is basically the room where you have to have it caged in for weapons and for drug stuff.
So Chief, just not to interrupt you,
Sure.
but the room off to the left here behind this grate, that has no guns in it.
That has no guns in it whatsoever.
And we can't put guns in it,
We
correct?
cannot. No, they have to, by law, have to be in that caged area right there. So there's another photo, if you want to show the other photo, I got another different angle. That's a different angle. So it just shows you this, that's how big it is. You see all the boxes right there. So if you would go back to the pros and cons of there. So obviously, anytime you get a gun off the street, if I'm gonna say that's the pro of the whole thing would be that we would take a gun off the street or out of someone's home that doesn't want it. However, that's not really our responsibility to be someone's gun control. And then, of course, the cons are, there's multiple ones of those. It's hard for me to read it because I wrote it too small, but let me go closer. I'm gonna tell you. So, in those boxes, those all cost money. So whenever a weapon comes in, we have to use one of the boxes, and long ones cost even more. And then, obviously, after it's a 9x6 cage, it's not very big. When you step inside there, literally, I can almost touch the side like of the storage that's in their facility. I can almost touch the sides, because I mean, you imagine how I'm in there like this. That picture doesn't do it justice, to be honest with you. So it's it's really small. Of course, then there's obviously there's employee costs, processing all these things, all the things that come through. We have to go through them, and then call out, like I say, call out after the 3 months, and we do it exactly what Cincinnati does. And then they say they want to go for 6 months, and it goes to 6 months, and then there's a 7-day grace period, and after that is when you run into, now we gotta go to the court, and then you have someone come into that office or through that lobby going, where's my gun at? And we're gonna say, well, you didn't come to get it, now we got an irate person in my lobby for that weapon, I guarantee. Something happens to the weapon while it's in our custody. Obviously, accidents can happen. Obviously, it can get destroyed by mistake. That's very possible. If you have a fire in there, you'll lose it. Also, if we return that weapon, if we don't fire, now this is where it comes down to what the ATF says, is if we don't fire that weapon, we don't know that weapon doesn't work, or so we think it works. We put it in our box, we put it in our evidence locker. When they come back to get it, and they get it back out and go, I took it home and fired it, it won't work. Or if I brought it in here, well, we can't return that now because ATF says we can't fire that weapon because you cannot enter it. And this is the thing that, well, I'm going to say this. The other big thing for me is the liability for returning a weapon to someone who has some kind of disability that we don't know of. And they take it, use it, somebody uses it in a crime, or use it for self-harm. Are we liable for all that? I don't know how we wouldn't be if someone said that we were storing our weapon down here and you return it back to them and check to see if they're okay. And we're not doctors, but we can't make them bring us in doctor notes. We can't make sure they can't ask them about HIPAA, that's not our workforce either. So it's putting us in a bind there as far as liability factors go. But, so just go to the next, my final thought on this is why I really do not want this to happen. And it is, for the ATF, we cannot fire the weapon and send the round off to NIDA. NIDA is when they take that round, they send it off, they check it amongst us if they're using it in case of any crime, and then put it in a database. ATF says we cannot do that. Now, if I go to your car and I stop you and you have a traffic accident, if I get your weapon out of your car, break my car, guess what I can do? I can fire that weapon. I don't have to put it in a knife, but I still can fire it and put it in those boxes for safekeeping. This one, I can't fire it to see if it's been used in the commission of a crime. So
Creates a loophole.
we basically place a weapon in our property room that's been used in a murder, and we don't even know that it happened. So for 3 months, 6 months, or more, and it can get destroyed,
did, that definitely leads to commission of a crime. So for that reason alone, I recommend that we deny implement this program. I think that Jim had a good point with, again, I think what in red is, about that. Yes, all your stuff's always on red.
Right.
But he had a good point about it, and Jim,
Sure, thank you, Chief. So my role is to look at any potential action by the city or policy or program, more so from a, what is the exposure potential, legal exposure and liability. And any program that may be a benefit may also carry risks. And the risks that I had identified with the chief and talked about, I think about lawsuits. Chief thinks about in the field, danger. I think about, is there a lawsuit potential? And we have liability as a city under Chapter 2744 of the revised codes, our sovereign immunity. And this activity doesn't squarely fall within that, the protected activities where we're immune from suit. So for all the reasons that the chief described in terms of giving rise to potential claims that, sure, we may be immune from, but there is a defense cost to defending them in a situation where we know that an individual may be suffering and submits a weapon voluntarily. And until, from a legal perspective, I have something from the probate judge, something from a forensic psychiatrist or a similarly licensed professional, there's some risk just to be aware of in returning that weapon to an individual that we already have on record as self-reporting a significant problem. And when I'm looking at these scenarios, if programs are well-intended, but there's an unintended consequence of a legal liability that doesn't exist, we've got plenty of them under current state, federal, and local law. This would be a potential liability that is not created by statute, but that we would create and invite. That I've not seen litigation about it. I've not seen case holdings, how courts resolve it. So it's a question mark. So for me, that just is risks and exposure to be aware of when making a decision about the general dynamic of the policy. Thank you, Chief.
so, to be honest with you, we've had this actually happen. It's happened more than once.
Can you actually pull that microphone? Sorry, I want to be sure people can hear you.
So this actually has happened a couple different times where court orders have come out and we've had to return weapons and someone has used it for self-harm. Obviously, the liability is taken away because of the fact it's a court order and they got the weapon back going through those means, but it has happened. Currently, we have one right now that is flagged, and I will not return the weapon to him until he gets something from the court saying that it's okay. And right now, we're just waiting for the court to say yea or nay. But I know that it's on that, it shows the disability on this record. So am I worried about giving that weapon back? Of course I am. But if the court says I have to, then I have to. I can't have any choice in that matter. But I'm going to do my due diligence and not give that thing. And so the same thing goes here. I don't want to take in these weapons and take a chance of that happening. Thus giving it back and someone using it to commission a crime, or it's been used in a commission of a crime. I just don't see that. I don't see why we would do that.
Questions for the chief?
Aren't weapons registered?
They can be. That doesn't mean always register to the person who has them.
But if you received a gun, you could track whether it was a gun that's in question
I mean,
through the registration of the gun?
Yes. It could be, sometimes they come out stolen or.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you can track that. You just can't track the.
So you don't have to fire the gun to track the gun?
No, but you can track the gun to the owner, not to what it's been used in the commission of a crime.
I understand that, but if you were to get guns that were registered to be not to be looking for them, that wouldn't be a positive. We can always find, the city of Riverside is here to serve the residents. And I think we have a gun problem. We have a wonderful fire department that does great things on a volunteer basis with smoke detectors and find time to do things for the citizens. And we have policemen who go out of their way. but we are a service organization. That's why we're here, to serve the taxpayer. If we can keep a child from being shot accidentally or whatever, if we can keep a spouse who's in a bad situation and wants to bring that gun safes are very expensive, and the average Joe can't have one in their house.
But this
I
wouldn't
have
solve that
guns
problem.
in my family.
So
I'm familiar with
Let's go one at a
guns.
time.
This solution doesn't solve the problem you're stating.
If someone has a problem in the house with the gun being in the house,
If they can't afford a safe, just 3 months isn't going to solve their problem.
well, it might take the heat off. It will
think-
keep an accident from happening and a 5-year-old getting shot because they got hold of a gun.
But they can't make them turn that over.
I know they can't make them, but if there's concern in the household, I think it's a service to our elected.
Can I say this, though? If we do have a domestic and there's some situation that's going on, we will collect all the weapons. In Cincinnati's policy, they only take 3 weapons at a time, that's it. If we have a situation where we think someone's going to get hurt by a weapon that's in the household, we do take them. And hold them
On
for
what grounds?
They'll normally say, we want these weapons out of the house.
What do you do
Or if
with
you
it?
have a domestic where someone's being charged for domestic, we're taking those out of the house because we don't want to give them the opportunity to use those weapons. Been done many, many, many times.
It's an established legal threshold that has been tried and.
Right,
Take
and
there, and then return
after
it,
the
return
case
after
is
court
over.
order.
Yeah, it's evidentiary in nature at that point, because you have a call, you have a complaint, you have
Right.
a case. And so we have a legal vehicle to attach those weapons to, and when it clears, we can release them after the fact.
Well, I just think it's interesting. If there's something that some people won't get done, we can find a way to do it, but
I think
we can't find a way to make
We
this
do
work.
We do take in weapons weekly on visitors to the base. If they're going to the base over here, they'll stop by, and they have a weapon in their vehicle, to drop it off. We won't hold it for 6 months, or we had it that day, they have to come back and get it that day. But there are people that come and stop weekly that do business on the base. We hold the weapon for them, and they come back and get it the same day. So we do offer some services in that respect.
Could we zoom out just for a second here? The program that we've discussed, largely from my research, is done in the mindset of mental health emergencies, right? And through your expertise and our legal experts saying that this is not something that it seems in the city of Riverside that would be feasible or ideal, and that's not a service that we can offer. However, I think this is a good time to educate, remind whoever is watching the resources that you do have in these situations where mental health emergencies are there. 988, it's a number you can call on your phone instead of 911 for mental health emergencies. You'll get a crisis coordinator to respond to you, and if there's a threshold, often refer like a pink slip, and there's a criteria of care that crisis response team will issue. Is this person a danger to themselves or others? And that person then will be involuntarily required to seek mental health treatment for up to 72 hours, then on a doctor's discretion, and then that puts it into the court system. Now, while in an ideal world, the mental health, and we wouldn't have to have these problems, but there are existing resources in the community, such as 988 and NAMI, Montgomery County, like the crisis response teams. That will get you into those resources, that if you have a loved one that you're concerned of, they'll help that person out, and if it needs to get into the court system and then a judge determines that it's not safe for this person to own a weapon, then that puts it into the court system. So I'd say that while we're talking about something we can't offer, this is a good reminder that there is things that you can do in lieu of us being able to establish this program.
So
Brenda?
I'd hate for you to oversell the resources because they're hard to get. But I on that topic, one area that I do think we ought to touch on in this discussion is what, say for example, a young person is put on a safety plan. They're seeking psychological help, and they get put on a safety plan because through that help they're determined that they may be a danger to themselves or others. Are there resources that we can share with the community for surrendering weapons in the home in those circumstances?
Well, I mean, you can, that's not this program, though. What you're saying is not really voluntary. If I have someone in my home and they're telling me that I'm having some issues where I'm may cause, we have no issues with us, you saying, hey, will you take the gun out of this house? We will take that. That's kind of like a domestic. That's a different situation.
Okay.
Because there is a legitimate issue or order, mental status has been confirmed, and the disrespect with the program, there's not a mental status that has been confirmed.
Mhm.
We don't know this person from anybody. They're just dropping a weapon off that we have.
But the fact that they're afraid to have the weapon in their home is not enough for you to be happy about storing their gun till the situation is relieved? I don't, we can find ways not to do things, and I know it's a new concept, and I'm sorry that it's getting
Well, I need to
rebuttal.
jump, jump in on that. I'm
And
sorry.
I have experience with
Because the
self-damage.
Councilmember Lemach, with all due respect, the plain reality is that if you want us to do this program, vote, and if it gets enough votes, we'll do it. We're just telling you that in our professional opinion, in mine and the chief's and the law directors, I don't feel like it's a good idea. But if you give us the direction, we'll carry it out. That's the way the government works.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further for the chief, I certainly join in thanking you for this research and the new information that was revealed with other things that happen. If guns are needed to be removed from a house, that there are ways that our police can remove guns with court oversight, and that if a gun is allowed to be returned, again, which is a constitutional right, we cannot stand in front of that, and a judge would tell us so, but it's not us making the arbitrary decision throughout. Is the chief also updating us on the Blue Envelope program?
Yes, this is pretty quick.
Yes, just, I'm gonna step forward. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So on this envelope, on the front side is information for the driver. So basically, it's some tips on what to do. Obviously, if you're verbal and nonverbal, you can check those. And then you put, on the back side, it shows you all the important information to put in there, as well as it also has instructions for the police officer who is actually stopping someone who has autism to show them exactly what they should be keeping in mind as they're doing the traffic stop. So you're more than welcome to take a look at that if you'd like.
Yeah, if you could pass that around, that'd be
So
great.
this is something, Chief, I appreciate you, and Josh, I appreciate you looking into this. It's something I brought up a couple weeks ago. I've seen it in the news. A number of municipalities around here, Vandalia, Huber, have adopted this program. The program, the Blue Envelope program has been, it's all throughout the country. It's, the primary intention was people who are nonverbal, people on the autism spectrum, to have a way of, like, that kind of upfront communication, right, between like them and the law enforcement if they ever happen to get stopped. I could imagine that those types of interactions, if you're not immediately aware that there is something, that person might be on the autism spectrum or have difficulties with verbalizing things, that this kind of bridges that gap, and it has all those like necessary documents and makes that traffic interaction a lot more easy, I guess, for everybody involved,
On
less
both
stress
sides, yeah.
inducing.
And-
So, Chief, I really, and Josh, like, this has been something, like, since I've seen it, I really thought that it's easy, right? It's just an envelope that we print out, have available down at the police station, correct? People can come pick up a blue envelope down at the police station. If you need that, just have it in your car. So again, for all of that work for the people in our community who need this service, it's a simple thing we can do that could potentially make a really, really big impact. So thank the two of you for all that work.
I give Chief all the credit because you asked the question and I passed it along and he said, we can do this, and it's in front of you today, so.
And to clarify, this is a service that the Riverside Police Department is offering the citizens of Riverside to help prevent issues at traffic stops and things like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for offering that service. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
As the parent of an autistic child, I can tell you that having a program like this is huge, huge. it's one of the most terrifying things to think about, my child having an interaction with the police.
Sure.
And most of the experience I've had in trying to solve the police autistic interaction danger has been on pushing that responsibility onto the autistic person.
Sure.
And knowing what to do and being able to respond. And that's often just, it's a burden that they're not able to meet. And this program shares that responsibility. And I think that is, it shows a lot of character on the part of the police departments that implement this, and I appreciate that very much.
It's our pleasure, really.
This is, in my mind, this is just kind of validation of the type of people that we have working for us in our police department. And I'll share one quick story. Last year, I was driving to, I think, a track practice at Carroll High School, and there was a young lady who was at band practice, and she was having a mental episode, unfortunately, and the band instructor was having a very hard time getting her to not just run off and run into Linden Avenue. And we were able to get her to calm down and stop, but she was still very agitated, and her mother said, we usually have to call an ambulance when she gets this bad. And a police officer also came, and the Riverside Police were there, and the first question that they asked when they saw what was happening was, they went to the mother and said, should we walk over there? And the mother said, she would probably have a really hard time with that. And they said, okay, great, we'll stand over here by the ambulance and let those folks do what they need to do, and if you need anything else from us. And I thought, oh, that's so, and I was just in the background just witnessing it, and I thought, what a great way to approach a situation as opposed to just, one size fits all, here's how we do our job, and get out of my way, and shut up. So this is just another validation for me of the way that the people that we employ are conducting themselves with our community and our citizens. So this is just great to hear. And I was also thinking about it. I looked at this. Many of you might know, but you might not know, last September there was a group called Welcome Dayton that had a meeting here talking about how our public service and our schools and people in our community can help folks that maybe don't have a mastery of the English language and things like that. And I was really impressed and proud, honestly. Major Jackson was there that night, and a few other of the officers. They talked about how much they want to be able to communicate. They don't want to just say, here's how it has to be. They want to be able to gain trust. And they're asking, how do we better impress upon people that we're not there to punish them if there's a traffic stop, and sometimes we just need information. We're not here to ding folks.
Sure.
Even if maybe the culture they might have grown up in or the country they might have grown up in, they might have a different opinion of law enforcement, maybe not as trustworthy as you find it in the States.
Sure.
So I was just talking to another elected official today about how proud I am. And those are the questions that our officers are asking, like, well, how do we do a better job of encouraging communication and letting people know we just want to talk. We're just trying to help. We're not here to punish. And that goes a long way. So it's evident in the things that they do, even if we don't always see it, but this is a great reminder. So thank you, Chief.
I'd also say this, I feel like this does a service to our police officers too, right? I often need to be reminded that our police officers, their primary duty are to protect and serve, right? And the expectations are often that they play a multitude of roles. And having this resource, I mean, it says it right there, like police officer, like what to do, the steps. Because, I mean, think about like a first-time officer, like you've never had a situation like this, and they present it with an envelope that gives you like step-by-step, like, hey, like this is what, like this person's nonverbal, and I feel like that like helps with that, like, it makes it mutually beneficial on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It
This
diffuses
program
the
goes right into
situation a
FTO.
little bit, because.
So when we put them in FTO, this is another program that we're going to show them right off the bat. So this is something they're going to learn as soon as they start working for Riverside PD. This is something that's going to be part of their everyday.
Just the way we do things.
That's the way we do things.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Is he doing the next update too? Or is he
No,
going to sit
I
down?
got that one.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
You got to do a lot of up and around and moving and move that podium and take this picture and,
Should have wore Crocs.
yeah, Crocs would have been a lot more comfortable.
With skates. guys have a great night.
You too.
Thanks, Chief. You too.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, Senate Bill 56.
All right, so this, I wanted to bring to council's attention, we had some communication, the law director and I did, with council about Senate Bill 56, which has to do with changes to the state's marijuana law. I will be upfront that the atmosphere here continues to change as the state kind of goes about its operating budget. But, and kudos to Mr. Miller who prepared this little handy dandy table for us. But what we wanted to do is just briefly compare where the law is today versus what at least SB 56 is in the State House. And then there's a bit of a question mark because I'm not quite sure exactly how the operating budget conversations may continue to move this needle. But the long and short of it is that the General Assembly is seriously contemplating changes to marijuana legislation that could have a material impact on us. What that means is, under the current law, anytime there's a sale of adult cannabis for recreational purposes, there's an excise tax that's placed on that. And a significant portion of that excise tax, more than a third, goes back to the host community where there's the dispensary at which it was sold. We have 2 such dispensaries in our city limits, and many of our neighbors have either outright banned them or have sort of discouraged their use. So through one frame of lens of looking at this, you could say that we stand to gain by having these dispensaries in town, making these sales, and then receiving the proceeds of that excise tax. That would be money that would come directly into our general fund that we could use to plug operating deficits, or who knows, maybe pave roads someday, right? The pinch point for us lately has been that we've not gotten firm estimates really ever from the state as far as how much money this would mean for the city. There are big, broad numbers about cannabis revenues statewide. I think it's dangerous to kind of look at that and try to extrapolate back into what that could mean for us specifically. Suffice to say that under the current law, we should be getting our first payment sometime in April. And I would expect that, we get 1, 2, 3 payments in and then start to see what would hopefully become a baseline for revenues that we could expect here. If SB 56 becomes the law, what happens is that excise tax gets increased. So if you are a recreational customer, you go to the register, you'll pay more in excise tax. That money will not go into a separate fund at the state. It goes straight into the state's general fund. And they basically take all the local share money away from the communities. So we would effectively receive nothing if SB 56 were to become law today. And then the latest I heard on the operating budget is that and reel me in if I'm off here, Jim, but my recollection is that the excise tax may go up, and a portion would still come back to local governments, but it would not be as high as 36%. So we would make some money, but less. And all that is to say, given that the legislature seems very keen and interested in doing something with this topic, really the question that I wanted to put to council is what, if any, legislative action would you like to take as a governing body, and to what extent would you like us as staff to try to convey council's sensibilities about this legislation at a state level? So, for example, at a minimum, I could certainly reach out to our state reps and state senator and ask for one-on-one meetings with them to explain what the impacts of these bills would be on us and our budget. I think that would be prudent to do anyway. They should know before they go to vote on these things what that impact would be. If council's mindset is you'd like to make a more public or take a more public position on the legislation, we could prepare a resolution for you to that effect. It would be purely symbolic, but it would be a way of sort of putting the state legislature formally on notice that you have a position and you've adopted that as a governing body. If you yourselves are interested, or you would like staff to go give testimony, should the opportunity become available in Columbus, those are also actions that we can take. So really just wanted to open the floor for conversation. I know it's difficult because we're not talking about like a specific dollar amount, but on some level, the principle of the thing is that this is another example where Columbus is kind of coming in on local government territory to try to take money away that the legislature had earmarked for us. and to pull it back into more of a centralized state coffers.
And,
So-
and that was how it was framed when the voters voted on it, correct?
Correct. So food for thought. I mean, I think at a minimum, unless there's opposition, I would like to get in front of the state reps to explain
Certainly.
what these impacts are. And I don't know, the timing may not be right. It would probably be worth some conversation with those folks. I can report back to you about how that goes before you consider something like legislation or testimony.
Yeah.
Unless you feel very, very passionately about it today, and I just wanted to make the space for that conversation.
I would love to hear what you or staff are able to gather from our delegation that is supposed to be representing us in Columbus. So if you, if that's where my mind is.
To me, that's the first step.
Yeah.
But to me, it looks like the state as a whole voted that said, if we're going to do this, this is the way we're going to do it. And those communities that are willing to have, or have the dispensaries, here is some money back because we know there's going to be issues, and this is to help cover some of those issues, as well as there's supposed to be money for education, and we may need that because the dispensaries are here also. And for them to, number one, they raise the amount, and then they're hijacking that whole amount to go into the general fund, and we will never see a dime. And not that I'm for the dispensaries, or I just don't think that that's what the people voted for. And we need to let our legislators know that that's the situation.
Yeah, there's still likely an expectation that the local cities will be the ones to deal with issues as they pop up.
Yeah, we're going to have to
Columbus is
deal
gonna
with
come
the
and deal with
issues,
it.
and
We're
that
gonna
was the
have to.
point of giving us the 36% was, if you do this, here's some funding to help deal with some of those issues. And I think for them to do that is unconscionable.
Yeah, well put.
I would be in favor of drafting a resolution. I feel very strongly that this is part of a larger attack on home rule, and that they'll continue to push in any way that they can. And it's incumbent upon us to,
Raise our voice.
yeah.
Because they're not going to do it for us.
Exactly.
As it turns out. Would this be acceptable to the six of us here tonight? Maybe the staff drafts a resolution as they communicate with our delegation that can work, those two can work in concert, I think.
That way, if we need to move that resolution quicker, we have, we don't have to vote on it. I mean, if we decide, hey, we're not going to do the resolution, but at least we have it in our hip pocket if we believe
Yeah.
that that's the best interest of this community.
Here's what I'll probably do then, if there's no objection, is the law director and I'll knock our heads together. We will draft a resolution that covers the substantive points of what you've talked about this evening and those perspectives. And honestly, I think we could use that just as our talking points for some of these conversations as well. We'll go ahead and have those conversations and then get all of this back in front of you with a follow-up as far as how that went.
Now, from a legal question, what the State House does is not always final, and I think my question would be, is there potential of the city being harmed in a legal sense from this legislation?
Legislation that we're speaking of is
Like
symbolic
SB 56,
resolution.
if it passes, goes to the House, and then we are unable to collect those funds, in your perception, is the city of Riverside like harmed as an entity?
I think the city of Riverside, as any other city that has a dispensary, under the auspices that the voters of the state voted into law to reimburse those municipalities and townships that support dispensaries that have dual adult use licenses, to offset some of the costs and I think it's important to note as well that There's 25% of the excise tax fund also goes to the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services to address more statewide issues that do directly impact the municipalities that have adult use dispensaries. So to answer your question, Councilmember Joseph, I think that the city is losing an important benefit that was part and parcel of this ballot issue that was voted on by the voters in the state. Harm in the sense that, yes, the residents that voted for this issue are losing a benefit that was promised to them that they voted for. So I think there is a harm in that respect.
Okay. So I say that cryptically of saying that I feel as if it does pass the State House, that it's probably, and it doesn't have to come from us, probably there'll be a lot more, there's a lot more communities that are going to be harmed in this. And I could see this potentially being brought up in front of the Supreme Court of the state of Ohio and be taken up that way. So that was just out of curiosity. And if you're wondering, just by the numbers here, in the first 6 months of adult use, there's been $255 million worth of sales. That correlates to $40 million in tax revenue, and back of the napkin math, just in that community fund, that's $9.1 million.
Statewide.
Statewide. And to what our law director was saying, so 36% of that is to the Cannabis Social Equity and Jobs Fund, so for social equity and job initiatives, 36% to the community fund, 25% to substance abuse, and then 3% to fund the division of cannabis. So, I mean, there's significant money here. It's not pennies. And I don't know what our share would be because we haven't got the filings yet, but I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of money.
Yeah, for our budget, certainly. All right, any other thoughts for the city manager and law director? Then we will move along to organizational staffing and efficiency study.
So just a quick double check here with folks. Last time we talked, I showed the proposed scope for the study to council and invited any comments, feedback, additional items. I didn't receive anything else outside of the current scope that we discussed last time. So if there are no objections from council, I will move forward with this proposed scope, put it in an RFP, throw it out to the market, and see who comes back to us and about what kind of pricing we're talking about. But just, again, wanted to create a touch point in case there were any objections or other final thoughts before I take that step. Nope.
Hearing none.
Cool. Then we'll move
Green
forward.
light.
And Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for the evening.
Other items is listed as a,
I have no other items.
well then, we will move along to council member discussion and comments. Are there any council members who wish to comment on anything or bring up anything for discussion amongst us while we're here?
I would like to bring up Eddie Carterberger again. Eddie, just, I don't know if you knew, Eddie was the volunteer fireman with Mad River Township. Well, the first year the haunted house was open, the volunteer fire department helped with that, and Eddie was part of that group. So it was great fun to have Ed as a young man, a lot thinner but just as funny as he is now and jovial. And it's great to see someone like that with that volunteer mentality work his way through and become full-time firefighter and then retire from this community after 41 years. It was great fun to work with him then. It's fun to work with him now. I just offered him to come on back to the haunted house now that he's got more time. It was great back then. They would be in helping with the haunted house. They helped us build it. They also helped with scaring people. It was great right up until they would get a call and I would lose half my actors because the fire department would have to go on a call because it was all volunteer at the time. But we made it work, and he was part of that, and I just thought that was a fun point to bring out that he has that volunteer mentality from way back, and it was great and enjoyable to have him around. That's it.
I'll share one quick thought are remembrance of Eddie. He's still with us, obviously. I don't want to sound like we're giving a eulogy here, but it's probably no great surprise, in addition to volunteering, a volunteer firefighter helping out at the haunted house, he has been a tremendous volunteer at St. Helens Parish for a number of years, not just helping out with the festival, which all of us do, but serving on Buildings and Grounds Committee, which is a very important entity to any organization when you have a campus. And his expertise as a firefighter, the eye that he brings to a potential new building or a renovation is one that not everybody has. So having Eddie there and having him with a volunteer spirit, I mean, that's really, Eddie's given his life to his community, whether it was as a firefighter, as a volunteer with JC's, volunteer with his parish, a volunteer with his kid's school, on and on. And to say that he's given his life to this community is not inaccurate. So I've certainly appreciated the times that he and I were able to serve on Buildings and Grounds together at St. Helens, and having people that have a talent and a skill that they can share with their organizations is a real gift, as many of us know who are involved in a number of volunteer things. So thank you, Eddie. Is there anyone else who'd like to mention anything tonight? Just kind of do an open forum instead of just calling on people like we're in class. All right, hearing no more, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:29 PM. Thank you, folks.